How should you define AI ARR and why does this matter? Well, let's find out in today's edition of SaaS Metrics School. Welcome. My name is Ben Murray. So, I've been doing a ton of research on how public companies define and use ARR. Presented this at the SaaS Metrics Summit in New York City. By the way, we're having another summit in San Francisco in September. And found some interesting themes in that analysis. Now, not a lot of folks disclose or companies disclose ARR, but I collected those definitions and now I'm looking at press releases to continue this research. And Verint disclosed in their press release, and Verint is a public company. They're a customer or communication automation platform, and they disclose subscription ARR and AI ARR. And we're not seeing much of this yet, but I would expect this to continue and to see more disclosures with public companies. So let's dive into this. So how do they define AI ARR? And they said this is their portion of ARR that is derived from solutions that include AI functionality and represents the annualized quarterly run rate. So they're taking a quarterly run rate value of the associated active or signed SaaS agreements at the end of a period. So this is really interesting because now their AI ARR now represents close to 50% of their total subscription ARR. And I think one nuance that's interesting in their ARR definition for AI is active or signed SaaS agreements. So really they're looking at signed agreements and maybe that didn't flow into revenue yet in that quarter. That's what I'm kind of assuming from that definition. So let's go on and look at this. So they said for the year, they expect AI ARR to continue to grow more than 20%, an acceleration from last year as customers increase usage and adopt additional bots from their CX automation platform. So really interesting. So expecting growth from the segment from that bot segment. So looking at this, and let's look at a little bit more nuances with their AI ARR definition. So they look at all the fixed term agreements that they have with AI functionality and do a quarterly run rate of those agreements. And then in that given quarter, if they have overages, they're going to go ahead and include that in their AI ARR definition. So it looks like they're going to look at the AI ARR fixed subscription agreements that include that AI functionality, and then the overages and taking an annualized run rate of the overages in that quarter to represent their total AI ARR. Now, why are they doing this as well? And why is this important to us if most of us are working private SaaS companies? Well, they said they've provided actually too many metrics in the past, and they weren't clear on their drivers of growth. So they said in order to be responsive to just more transparency around their financial performance, they said, let's focus on the ones that are important. And that's the aggregate measure of total business, which will be their subscription ARR growth. And then that portion of AI ARR, it's a mouthful, that is a measure of their key driver of growth, which will be AI adoption. So they said, hey, we provided a lot of metrics. It wasn't really clear of what's driving our growth. So now we're looking at total ARR. We're looking at the subscription portion and then the AI portion. So really interesting disclosure from their press release, because AI ARR is now 50% of their total subscription revenue. And then finally, subscription ARR. And I had to go into their press release 10Q PDF on this, but just their normal subscription annual recurring revenue, they said represents annualized quarterly run rate value of their active or signed subscription agreements at the end of a period, comprised of ARR from SaaS support and optional managed services contracts. Interesting. So they're including managed services, which I kind of view as people-powered revenue. So I'm expecting we're going to see more disclosures, more definition, more transparency around definitions of ARR, especially with AI coming into play here. So I thought this was fascinating. Wanted to share this, especially if you're running an AI first company or have subscription plus now AI features that are driving usage or fixed subscription agreements from AI ARR. And how should we disclose this to our board, to our stakeholders, to investors, potential investors? So I hope you enjoyed today's edition of SaaS Metrics School.